Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Ranking NFL Team RB Talent for 2024 Season, Top Players. It's the peak of summer, which means one thing for me: it's time to rank the NFL's offensive playmakers. Every year, right around this time, I take stock of every move franchises have made to surround their various starting quarterbacks with talent as they hope to parlay a hot offseason into a Super Bowl victory. If a team has Patrick Mahomes, it can probably survive without a great set of playmakers. What about one of the 31 teams trying to beat him in 2024? Well, it'd be nice to be close to the top of this list. Let's run through the guys who catch and run with the football and how each team is positioned to take advantage of good quarterback play in 2024, going from worst to first. Before you fire off that angry tweet, though, consider the ground rules I went through in compiling this piece. This is just about running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. In other words, imagine if every set of offensive skill position players got a chance to play with the same average quarterback in an average scheme with average weather, average luck, and at an average pace. Who would have the league's best offense? This is only about on-field performance during the 2024 season. While I talk a lot about contract value and long-term impacts in evaluating the league, all of that doesn't matter once the games start. This is strictly considering what each player might do this season, not what will happen years down the line. I'm using each player's recent level of play and various advanced metrics to get the best sense of how they performed while attempting to adjust for the context around each of them. Aging curves matter here. We know players in their early 20s are more likely to improve than players in their 30s. When it comes to draft picks, I'm leaving my own feelings about each player out of the equation and relying more on historical performance for draftees in their respective ranges during their rookie seasons. In other words, to estimate what Chargers wideout Ladd McConkey will do in his rookie season, I'm looking at the typical performance by receivers chosen early in round 2. Execs, coaches, scouts rank the NFL's top 10 edge rushers for 2024. With 2024 NFL training camps on the horizon, it is again time for the league's true insiders to make their voices heard. ESPN surveyed league executives, coaches and scouts to help us rank the top 10 players at 11 different positions, from quarterback to cornerback and all positions in between. This is the 5th edition of these rankings, and as usual, several players have moved up or fallen off last year's lists. Each section includes quotes and nuggets from the voters on every ranked player, even the honorable mentions. The objective is to identify the best players right now for 2024. This is not a 5-year projection or a career achievement award. Who are the best players today? We will roll out a position per day over 11 days. The schedule: wide receivers, July 8th, defensive tackles, July 9th, edge rushers, July 10th, safeties, July 11th, running backs, July 12th, interior offensive linemen, July 13th, offensive tackles, July 14th, cornerbacks, July 15th, off-ball linebackers, July 16th, tight ends, July 17th, and quarterbacks, July 18th. The competition is fierce at edge rusher. 21 different rushers, either 3 to 4 outside linebackers or 4 to 3 defensive ends, recorded at least 10 sacks last season, compared to 13 a year ago. 5 of those players blew past the 16-sack mark. Perhaps no player save quarterback can disrupt the flow of the game like a good pass rusher, which is why the market for even fringe top 10 players at this position pushes $30 million per year. Despite 25 different players earning at least one vote from league scouts, execs and coaches in this year's top 10 edge rushers, the top tiers were clear-cut. Below are some of the game's top edge rushers as ranked by sources around the NFL. Garrett is now in Tier 1 by himself, earning 70% of the first-place votes. If you don't double-team him, he's going to kill you, an NFL coordinator said. In fact, Garrett is excelling single or double teams more than 30% of the time, trailing only Micah Parsons in pass rush win rate. Garrett's status as the reigning Defensive Player of the Year earned him credibility among voters, but many of them don't consider 2023 any sort of breakthrough. He has 46 sacks over the past 3 seasons, and he might have hit 20 sacks in 2022 had it not been for a car accident that left him injured that September. I don't think he's changed at all, he just got more help, in 2023, around him, which accentuated his play, an AFC executive said. He's always been the same dominant guy. The only knock on Garrett was that he was quiet in a playoff game against the Houston Texans, with Laramie Tunsil holding him to 3 tackles and 0 sacks. However, it's important to note that the entire Browns defense played poorly that day, giving up 45 points. Garrett led all pass rushers in interceptions created by his pass rush, 6. Cowboys, considered the favorite to sign $100 million WR. The Dallas Cowboys are considered the betting favorites to sign a former star wide receiver. According to BetOnline's odds on which team will sign Michael Thomas, not named the New Orleans Saints, the Cowboys are considered the favorites to sign the 3-time Pro Bowl wide receiver at plus 300 odds. The 31-year-old receiver was once statistically the best receiver in the NFL. While catching passes from former Pro Bowl quarterback Drew Brees, Thomas set an NFL record with 149 receptions during the 2019 season. He also posted a league-leading 1,725 receiving yards in addition to 9 touchdowns while winning Offensive Player of the Year. Thomas was also previously the highest-paid receiver in the NFL after signing a 5-year, $100 million contract extension with $61 million guaranteed. After leading the league in receptions in back-to-back seasons, 2018 and 2019, Thomas's career has been derailed by injuries. The 6'3" receiver was limited to just 7 games during the 2020 season due to ankle injuries. He posted just 40 receptions for 438 receiving yards with 0 touchdowns during the 2020 season. Thomas would go on to miss the entire 2021 season due to an ankle injury before missing 14 games during the 2022 season due to a foot injury. After playing in 10 games during the 2023 season, his most healthy season since 2019, Thomas's season ended due to a knee injury. That means Thomas's season has ended in 4 consecutive years due to injury. While Thomas clearly isn't the receiver he was 5 years prior, the Cowboys wouldn't need him to be. In fact, all they would need from Thomas is basically what he gives the Saints last season before an injury ended his season. Thomas produced 39 receptions for 448 receiving yards in 10 games as a secondary receiver to Chris Olave. Thomas was on pace to post 762 receiving yards, which is better than what every Cowboys receiver, with the exception of CeeDee Lamb, posted last season. If Thomas were to sign with Dallas, he'd step in as the 3rd option on the wide receiver depth chart behind Lamb and Brandon Cooks. Furthermore, he'd probably be the 4th option overall with tight end Jake Ferguson ahead of him on the pecking order after he posted 71 receptions for 761 receiving yards last season, ranking 2nd on the team in both categories. This isn't the first time the Cowboys have been mentioned as a potential landing spot for the former star wide receiver. Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox mentioned Thomas as a veteran that the Cowboys must consider signing. Knox argues that Thomas could be a worthy replacement for Michael Gallup, who was released during the offseason. At worst, Thomas should be a functional replacement for Gallup as WR3, writes Knox. If he could recapture some of his earlier form, however, he could be much, much more. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Michael Thomas? Leave your opinion in the comments.